Hello, thanks for visiting my channel today. This is going to be a special request video. I'm going to be doing a scrubby. This is a kitchen scrubby. It's going to be round and I'm doing it in the ultimate beginner format. So this is going to be super slow. So you're going to see it's basically, let's say you've never loom knitted before. This is something you could start right now without watching another video. It's going to teach you how to get the yarn on and do the whole project, okay? So supplies that I have is the round loom. It's a 24 peg. I've got my loom knitting hook. This is the knittingboard.com. I got it on amazon.com. Okay, I've got my number cards so I can keep track of how many rows I have done. I've got my little sewing scissors, a plastic needle. For this, I'm using scrubby yarn, and it's that shimmery kind. And because I'm using the loom, the gauge is a little bit wider. The pegs are a little bit wider as well. I'm going to need to do 2 strands of yarn for this. So what I do is I buy 2 balls or skeins of yarn. Okay, so it's easier to do it that way and just pull the yarn out instead of trying to find the middle and then also working on the outer to get the 2 strands. So it's just easier if you get the 2 balls right away. All right, so grabbing your yarn, you're going to get the 2 strands together, and to start off you're going to make a single knot on the end. Don't worry about having too long of a tail. Okay, just a nice size tail right here. This is my tail, okay? And I've got to make sure that I'm getting both pieces of yarn in there. Okay, just a single knot. And on this, I'm going to use my starter peg here on the top. I'm not going to use the outside anchor one. I'm just going to go right here, okay? Because this is going to be a pattern that folds up, and I want the string to be right up inside there. It's a lot easier. Okay, taking my knot, I want to have the 2 strands facing out, the knot facing inside the loom. So I'm going to put it on that first peg that I want to use. Tie the knot on the peg, but not too tight because you will be pulling that off, okay? I'm going to be going to the right, and because this is going to be a round scrubby, we're just going to keep going around and around in the same direction, okay? Now I want to pull out enough yarn to get me started here so it doesn't slow me down. So I usually pull out about 6, okay? 6 pulls. All right, first thing we're going to do is get our yarn on the loom, okay? So this is called our cast on. And I'm going to use an E-wrap cast on, okay? The first peg already has one on there, so coming from the back of the pegs, okay, the inside of the loom, I'm grabbing both strands. Make sure that you really watch your strands of yarn to make sure they stay together. All right, you don't want to have some loose ends here because you didn't hold them together. Doing my E-wrap, I'm going to go from behind the next peg, bring it around to the front, and wrap it around. Okay, that's it. There's your E-wrap. Don't pull it too tight. Okay, just let it go natural on there. Now go to the next peg here, go from behind and wrap it around to the front, going all the way around. Next peg, go from behind and wrap it. Go from behind, wrap it around to the front. Okay, just going in that motion all the way around. As I'm doing this, I'm going to take my other hand and push the yarn down to get it ready for my next row. So this kind of saves time here by pushing that down. Now, I'm going to hopefully do this video slow enough so I'm going to feel like you're actually sitting with me, working with me, okay? So I kind of feel like I'm eyeballing over at you to see if you're catching up with me. So this is definitely going to be a slower video. Okay, keep going around from behind to the front and then pushing it down, the yarn down with your other hand, and then keep rotating. You can do your loom holding it in your lap, but sometimes when you start off for the first time, I recommend putting it on a table just so your hands are free and you can watch your loom and just move your loom around and not have to hold it as well. Okay, I just got back to the last peg, or got to the last peg. All right, now keeping in mind, this is helping me gauge what my starting peg is, okay? I also can see my tail hanging down there. Now what I'm going to do is keep going in that same direction, and I'm going to wrap from behind around to the front, and I'm going to do one more row, and this row is going on top. And you also want to keep your 2 rows separated, okay? Because you're going to yarn over one of those yarns, and you want to make sure that you're keeping the yarn separated so your hook grabs what it's supposed to. Okay, grab more yarn so you're not getting it stuck on the loom. Makes it easier, especially if you just kind of let it fall down into your lap to get it out of the way. And again, I'm going from behind around to the front. This works a lot faster when you have it on a table. Okay, now here we are at the beginning. Okay, I just finished my last one. Hopefully you're caught up. Now what you might want to do is, if you're not caught up, you're going to want to pause the video. All right, so you're going to stick with me. All right, pausing the video to catch up, and then continue here. Now I've got the last peg. Okay, I'm going to let my yarn come through the front here, drape it, and I'm going to hold it with my finger. The very last peg that I wrapped up here, I'm going to take the yarn down here underneath with my hook. I'm going to pull that yarn, and I'm going to yarn it over. Okay, now this yarn is anchored on, so you don't have to worry about it. And I'm going to continue now going to the left, or going backwards, and yarning over with my hook every bottom loop, every bottom yarn over the top. Now, you double stranded it, right? You did 2 pieces of yarn at once. Make sure you're grabbing both pieces with that hook. You will understand why I'm slowing down and saying that carefully as you progress into this project. You really want to make sure that you're catching both of those pieces, and you're keeping this and this separate. Okay, so hopefully you may not be going this fast. I'm catching, see these little grooves in here? Going from underneath the yarn, I'm catching my hook. It's designed for that. Go in the groove, it guides you, and then pull it up over. Okay, now I'm back to the beginning. Okay, now this is where you're going to push down all of the yarn to get ready for the next row. Okay, now that was just your cast on. That was just you getting your yarn on the loom. Okay, that was not your first row. First thing I'm going to do, grab more yarn here, pull it out. Then, using my name cards, this is where I'm starting row 1. Okay, this is where they come in. Doing the same wrap, taking it from behind the loom, and you're going to wrap all the pegs going to the right. I'm making sure that tail's hanging down, and I'm going from behind around to the front. Here's this view behind around to the front. Okay, going all the way around. Just get it in your mind, behind around to the front. And we got all 24 pegs. Okay, if you're not there, pause the video, catch up. Then let that working yarn go through the last peg and the first peg. Okay, hold it down with your finger or your thumb. Grab your hook, do that last peg that you just did the wrap, and grab that yarn and yarn it over the top row. Okay, now you can let go and yarn over, going in the opposite direction. Okay, so now we're going back from the back to the front, the end to the starter peg. I'm sure it makes sense to you. It's like once you get the groove of getting that hook into that little notch there, that little groove, it goes fairly quick. And your yarn is nice and easy. It's not tight, so it slides over the peg. Really nice. Other scrubby yarns can be a little tricky because it's cotton and it's fuzzy. This is very shimmery and it slides really nice. Okay, now I'm gonna take my hand, my thumb, and push all the yarn down to get ready for the next row. Okay, making sure that your working yarn here, the part that you work with, is in between the last peg and the first peg. Okay, don't let it go to another peg because your rows will be off. Now, taking your number cards, and we're going to switch to row 2. Okay, especially if you get distracted in your project or you're chatting, you might forget what row you're on. So it's helpful just to use the number cards versus trying to count your rows in here. Sometimes it gets confusing as to how to count them, especially because it's tucked inside. All right, now I've got my working yarn. Here's my first peg, going from behind around to the front, behind around to the front. So here's your view here. Okay, here's a way you can hold your loom as well, and it's still propped up on your table, so it's easier to hold. Or your view here. You're kind of feeding the loom, turning it as you are wrapping it. Okay, now I'm done wrapping row 2. Pause the video if you're not caught up. Otherwise, here we go. Yarn over that last one that you did and do all 24 pegs. Whoops. Little ASMR for you right there if you like that clicking sound of the hook hitting the plastic and the rubbing. I do have 2 ASMR videos. Thought it was kind of a cool idea just to do a project, not talk, and show you what I'm doing, but at the same time hitting that ASMR aspect of it. All right, again, my working yarn is here from my last peg. I want to get my yarn ready. Tug, pull out about 6, and moving on to the next row. Whoops, on row 3. Okay, starting with that first peg here, go from behind and around to the front. Now, you should be good to go. I'm going to let you just work it. So what you'll see next is me finishing up row 12. It's a 24 peg, and so I'm going to do half of that. So I'm going to do 12 rows to make this scrubby. It's going to be super cute. All right, so I finished that and got my peg on there, and now I'm going to continue, and I'll see you at the end of row 12. Here we are, row 12. I haven't done it yet, so first thing I'm doing, pulling out my yarn, get enough here, and I already switched to my 12, and this is what it looks like so far. Here's your outside. Okay, it looks a little bit more lacy because it's still on the loom. Once we finish it, the shape will take shape. You'll be able to tell what it looks like. And then here's the inside. Okay, let's say you lost track and you can't remember if you turned your cards or not, or maybe you turned it, maybe you did 2 of them or something. I don't know. There's different things that can happen when you get distracted. How do you count your rows here to verify where you're at? Starting at the bottom, I usually start at the bottom. Don't count your cast on, okay? That's your edging, that's not your row. So you can count these rows here, okay? That's where you're at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 is this one right here that's on the loom. Okay, that's another way that you can tell where you're at. Okay, so I'm going to do row 12 with you. So starting at the beginning, just doing my wrapping. This is probably a better view for you as you're doing your work, just to make sure that you've got both strands. Let's say you missed one. Okay, I actually missed. I had one strand. I didn't see it, and when I went to yarn over, that's when I caught that I only had one strand. Either that or the two blended so well that I couldn't tell that it was two strands on there. Don't worry about it. You're not gonna be able to fix it. Just go ahead and keep working, because in order to fix that, you would have to go back and undo your work. And on a loom, especially with this yarn, it's almost impossible. I mean, it takes a lot of time. It's very tedious to go back and try to pull off. Here, I'll show you. Once you yarn over it, it's hard to, especially with double strands, it's hard to get that yarn back off. So don't worry about that. But in the meantime, just really watch to make sure make sure you've got both strands of yarn on there. I'm feeling like this is probably the best angle for you, because it works for me as I'm doing this. Can't really see it when it's down here. But I like the table. I like propping it on there, and then also having my stuff right in front of me versus sitting in a chair like on your sofa or something and having your stuff on your end table or on a TV chair or something. I don't know, it just makes the process a lot easier. Okay, I just finished row 12. Now I'm going to push these down one last time for my next part. Got all the way around. Okay, number cards done. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the whole piece from the inside and we're going to fold it up. Okay, we're going to make this into a little poof. We're going to fold this up and we're going to take, okay, I want to make sure that this working yarn here is in the right spot. It's in between the last peg and the first peg. Okay, get that there. Now back to my edge here. I'm going to grab where the cast on is. It's the very first thing that I did on the loom. Okay, it's this edging here. Now make sure that you grab two strands. You're going to grab those loops and you're going to put them on your pegs. This is the first loop from the beginning, so I'm going to put it on the first peg. Okay, and that's where my knot is, my tail. All right, now I'm going to go to the second one. Yes, I usually use my fingers for this. Sometimes if it gets real tricky to pull, maybe towards the end, I'll grab my hook, but otherwise I just find that it's easier just to use my fingers. See how I've got the two strands there? And that is your very edge. There's you're not going to want to dig in there to find the next row. This is the very edge of the project where it starts. Make sure that you don't skip any, and you can tell, is that two? Yeah, you can tell because this is like that little twist right there. Okay, from the wrap of the yarn. As you go along, the holes or the loops can get a little smaller. Not so much with the scrubby, and because this is this polyester like plasticky, it doesn't pull too much. It stays fairly open. So this actually is a really good, I know you're like in the middle of a video and you probably would want to know that before, but I'll write that in the description. This is a really good video to start loom knitting and learn how, because it's a small project and they're super cute. It's, I don't know, super satisfying to make, and they're so useful. These kitchen scrubbies, and they last forever. Throw them in the washer and the dryer, throw them in your dishwasher to sanitize it, whatever, but they last forever. I clean everything with it. Pots, pans, dishes, whatever. They wash up so nice. So if you're making it for yourself, you're going to enjoy. Otherwise, super awesome gifts. And I actually sell these two. I sell them a lot. Men and women buy them. They love them. So now I'm getting towards the end here. I've got like 4 pegs left, but I remember that little tail there from the beginning. I'm going to want to tuck that inside. It is knotted here, so it's secure. I want to tuck that in before I fold the whole rest of the thing up. So shove that in there. Okay, make sure it's pulled all the way. Don't have it still sitting in the front. And I'm going to go back over here and grab these loops. It's not hard, you just have to be careful. Now, this is where, because I can't get my fingers in here as well, this is where I'm going to grab my handy hook, grab both of those, and get this on here. And I just have one left. You can see it, it's at the very end here. There you go. Okay, still got my working yarn hanging out literally between the last peg and the first peg. That was an inside joke for someone. If you're watching, ha ha ha. And I know it's my starter peg too because of this anchor. All right, now what I'm going to do is starting, I always go backwards, starting here with that last one that I yarned over, I'm going to yarn that over that row. And we're going all the way around. This is a little tighter than the rest of the project. Don't be alarmed, you didn't do anything wrong. You don't have to pull too hard, but it is a little bit more snug than the other rows. Okay, so this color, I wasn't sure when I ordered it. I ordered it online on Amazon, and I wasn't sure about the color because you never quite know, you know, with the lighting and such when they're taking the photos, and of course the device that you're using. And I got it and I made one, and I'm like, oh my God, I absolutely love this color. It is the coolest and cutest color for a kitchen. I don't even have an orange kitchen, but it reminds me of an orange. It's so cute. All right, I got them all on there. Pause if you didn't catch up yet. Okay, now you're back, and now we're going to want to take this off. So what I'm going to do is take my working yarn, and I'm going to wrap it around the loom. Okay, all the way around. And then let's go about an eighth. You don't want to wrap too much. So not fully a quarter, let's go about an eighth. Cut that off. We are now done with that. Unwrap that piece of yarn that you just wrapped. Taking your hook, now we're going to weave this in so it's secure for us removing it. So did you see how I left this row up here? You want to leave that up. Okay, now going from underneath that top row with this working yarn, I'm going to grab my hook from the top here. Okay, so going from above, catch your yarn that's on the peg. Now go underneath. You can use your hand to hold that tight if you need to. Go underneath that loose yarn, that working yarn. Catch that yarn with your hook. Pull it through. Okay, and you're going to pull it all the way through. Now you just fed that on there, and that's going to be secure. But it's also going to be the way we're going to cinch this to make it a round scrubby. All right, now take your hook and go from the very top. Catch that yarn. Now go over that bottom yarn. Catch it with your hook. Pull it up and through, and pull it all the way through. And this yarn slides so nice. It's very easy. Go from the top. Catch it. Go from the bottom, hook that bottom yarn, and pull it through. Okay, I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to stop the video. I'm not going to talk anymore though, so if you want to just kind of work it with me or just watch a few more, whatever, I'm just going to keep going. Don't worry about pulling this tight or keeping it loose. It's just gonna work itself out. Another thing I've liked to say in the past, so if that certain people are watching, that one's for you. It'll work itself out. Ha ha ha. Like if you don't have much time, but you gotta loom knit, like let's say you've already loom knitted and you're still a beginner or whatever, or you're trying to remember how to do certain projects or just work on some new techniques, whatever. This is a perfect project for time that you don't have a lot of time, but you want to do something. while you're waiting or whatever to fill your time, and you just got to get that loom out and that yarn, this is a perfect project. If you were using cotton yarn, not so much. That, like I said, it sticks a little bit, and so it makes it slow down. Whether that's just your regular 100% cotton or that nubby kind. But this is like super slick, super easy. It's fun. This is like zero frustration project. And you know projects can have some element of frustration in it. This has none. And this is perfect for kids too. Okay, did I cut that well? Like, I don't like cutting too much. I like to have it just enough. Look at how perfect that was. So that was all the way around and an eighth. Okay, now I've got them all woven in basically. Going now from the last one, I'm going to take it off. Here we go. We're on the home stretch. Just yarn that off of the pegs. Oh my gosh, I'm having a hard time getting the hook. I'm so used to using another loom that has wider groove here, and so you don't have to be so precise. And so here I'm like, Urgh. Now let's say you do have a different 24 peg loom. It's the same size, same gauge, same width. It's going to turn out the same. So don't worry about that you don't have the exact same loom. Another thing I probably should have said at the very beginning. All right, we're done with the loom. Now we've got that string hanging out. And all we're going to do now is pull. It's drawstring. Pull it. Sometimes you can pull it and it will cinch all the way through, but sometimes you have to encourage it and, you know, push it along. This one I'm just going to pull and we'll see, because it slides so nice. Look at that. Here comes my orange, or my tangerine. Oh, it's so cute. It's so fluffy. It's got enough texture on there for a good dish scrubbing. Scrubby. All right, so this one completely closes up the hole. All right, but we want to secure this in, right? So what we're going to do is take our plastic needle, get my yarn flat here, unknot it. I'm not going to cut this to make it shorter. I'm just going to, you know, use the whole thing. Some people like to cut it off so they're not weaving in so much yarn, but yeah, it's not that big of a deal. Again, I'm going to pull this tight, completely close that hole up. Now I'm just going to weave this through. So I'm going to go right on the inside here and just catch like 2. Yeah. Pull it and skip a couple and do a couple, and I'm actually on the inside here. I'm not going all the way to the back. I'm on the inside of the yarn, the piece, and skip a couple and stitch a couple. So every 2, just to make it secure, and get back to the beginning. Okay, plastic needle, not sharp on the tip, so sometimes it doesn't want to go in. All right, yeah, we're definitely at the beginning. It didn't want to go in. All right, so got all that, no hole in there. And now we're going to secure this by making a knot. So what I'm going to do is grab 1 stitch. Okay, fairly close right to here. It's really close. Make sure I got both pieces of yarn though. Yep. Okay, 1 stitch. Now don't pull it all the way through. Leave a loop. And you're going to take your needle, go in the middle of the loop, and pull that yarn through. We got 1 knot number. Yeah, 1 knot. And then you're going to do it again. I'm not going to go through that same stitch though. You don't want to pull that yarn back out. So go real close to it though, but find another stitch. Okay, I grabbed 2. I didn't want to grab 1 because I didn't want it to pull out, loosen it. And pull this through, but leave a loop. I don't let my loop twist up. I like to make sure the loop is flat. Okay, meaning don't let it twist. Keep that loop open. Put the needle through the middle. Pull it. There is knot number 2. It is secure. Now, what do I do with this? We are going to take the needle, right next to it, and I'm going to put it in the middle of the fold, middle of the scrubby. Okay, so you don't see the needle here. You also don't see it on the back. Yeah, you do. Haha, funny. Good thing we looked, right? Okay, go in the middle. That one felt better. Yeah, see? Good thing I showed you that though, because you want to make sure that you're watching for that. Can't see it in the front, so that means it's dead in the middle, and I'm going to go over as far as I can. Pull your needle and your yarn through. Don't pull it too tight. Okay, you don't want to cinch it up, and just kind of stretch this out to make sure that yarn is flat. From there, okay, you're going to cut this off. Don't go in too far. You don't want to cut part of the yarn. You know what I mean? You don't want to cut one of your stitches. It's okay if it sticks out. Blends in. All right, that is done. Voila, there is your scrubby. Adorable. Yes, I'm going to say a delicious color. It really is for the kitchen. Okay, so nice and round, and it's two-sided. Perfect for your hand. There you go. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for all the new subscribers. This is super exciting. I've got plenty of more videos coming out, going through some requests as well as I grab my supplies and my yarn. I got to find them. And especially with Joann's closing, I've had to venture out and find yarns that will satisfy. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.